Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Josh and Jason Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast Show. I am your host, Josh Monday. And if you don't know me, I'm a Christian rapper, Army veteran, devoted husband, and father. And I'd like to introduce you to my co-host. He's a Christian, devoted husband, father, and kicking butt as a football coach. What's up, Jason? How's it going?
Good morning. This is a good time. 8 a.m. is way better than 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. Good job, man. Morning, Johnny. How are you?
I take credit for that.
Yeah, right on. Thank you.
I forced your crazy brother to hit it at a normal time.
Come on, guys.
So he gets up at 4 a.m. and works out.
All right, so I'd like to introduce you to our returning guest. He actually has 4 books out, working on his 5th, and they're all amazing. I'll have Johnny kind of name them off. I don't want to get too crazy on him. It's Johnny Cirucci, and everybody should already know this gentleman from the great show we did last time, and he's back for another to finish this All Roads Lead to Rome Part 2. What's going on, Johnny? How are you doing?
Josh, Jason, it's really a pleasure to be back. I had a great time with our first interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my volume is doing weird things too. What the heck?
What is going on? Let me louder mine. You guys are
There we
making
go.
Mine's not going to go.
What the heck? Press my volume button and it shoots up to the top. Yeah. So usual quirks whenever we do interviews. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff, man. Difficult but exciting times, I would say.
Yes.
Everything we've been saying is coming true.
Yes.
And I have to say, from a Christian point of view, we're all born again here, and I would say the majority of your audience is too. This is just falling right into line with Scripture, Revelation, and Daniel in particular, and this is what frustrates me as a Christian. So many other people in this field and supposedly doing what we do, Christian alternative media, carefully avoiding this stuff, avoiding Rome as the 4th and final beast. And it's absolutely clear. Revelation 13 in particular, it talks about the beast of the land, the beast of the sea, and land is sea is clearly a metaphor, as we're told in Revelation, for peoples and languages. So land would be sparser, and I believe that is an allusion to the New World that was begun, that was not as populated as Europe. And so people say, well, where is America in Scripture? Well, America is the beast of the land. America is the beast that starts off like a lamb, pretending to be Protestant and Christian, but turns into a dragon. Exactly what's going on right now. What's going on right now. And what do? Forces everyone to worship the beast of the sea. Forces everyone to worship Rome and the Vatican. And that's exactly what we have. If you look back in history, gee whiz, I would say, who was the Chief Justice for Dred Scott, Catholic?
Yeah, that's interesting stuff to connect all this together, man. And that is something that a lot of people do say, yeah, America's not in the Bible, but, you just got to dig deep and interpret it, and that's a great interpretation. A lot of people say mystery Babylon is America and, stuff like that. But yeah, that's we're going to give Johnny the floor today and just to kick butt. So last time we talked a lot. And
yeah, we did a show yesterday on Constantine. And that was a good that's a good basis to start off of with where it just switches over to their version of, man-made version of a religion that worships who God knows what. I don't even know what it is. They just changed the names over to, it was easy to change them over to Jesus Christ, Mary, and basically have that same type of easy worship for them, because they had too many priests on the payroll back then that's why those churches you were talking about yesterday, Josh, the ones that had those what they called
Mithraism.
Yeah, they had them underneath the
The Catholic churches, yeah.
Christian, their version of Christian church below. So what were they doing? Like that's
worshiping Mithra, the sun god.
and
right?
how come you always find out that these priests are always messing around with kids, and perverting their lives right off the bat before they even get into manhood. They're already screwed up. And it's I've been reading a lot of this stuff that where, man, it's crazy. I don't want to get into that too much, but I'll let Johnny hit the floor right now again.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, great point. For me personally, it's the waters are a little muddy on Constantine because he, on the one hand, by certain historical accounts, he was a sun worshiper, depending upon who you read.
Yes.
On the other hand, he did, as I chronicle in Illuminati Unmasked, amazing things. The sexual deviancy, the rape and abuse of the vulnerable and innocent women, children, animals. He put a stop to that.
Okay.
He put a stop to pagan worship. He actually looted pagan shrines. Now, sometimes you can say, well, okay, that's over the top and that's going to make people be empathetic towards the pagans. It depends on how much power you have. If you have enough power and control, I sure as heck would. I absolutely would. If I was emperor right now, I would absolutely crush our enemies. I don't give a crap about how much compassion and empathy it would create for them. It's just the right thing to do. So
well, it says it in the Bible, it says there's certain verses in Joshua and
absolutely,
where they had to kill every man, woman, and child and get rid of that whole and don't compromise that. So I agree with you, Johnny. If there's repeat offenders in your society, they got to go. They don't, if they're constantly doing bad, they don't conform, they got to go. It's how it was in the Bible. I'm not saying just go kill them, but they don't get it. There's no 3-strike law with God. There's no 3-strike law like that. There's no, you can go back and you probably be rehabilitated. You're a bad apple. You're a bad apple.
Well, that is, yeah.
Was it the Gibeonites? Was it the Gibeonites that as Israel was rolling as a steamroller through Palestine and Canaan, there was a tribe that knew they were going to get plowed under, and they sent out emissaries and used deception. And their emissaries
I just went over that. That's crazy. I just went over that.
Covered themselves in dust and acted like they were traveling for months. And this is presented in scripture as Joshua dropped the ball. Joshua's job was to crush everyone in Canaan. Why? Because Canaan, Palestine, they were completely Luciferian. They were doing evil things, worshiping demons, conducting satanic rituals, and on orders of God, wipe everyone out, men, women, children, everyone, because it was a blight. And the sad fact is that when you leave the generations alive, they're just going to pick right up where they left off. So that was judgment on that area, and Joshua dropped the ball. So yeah, great points, Jason.
Yeah, that was a good book. I just read that the other day. And yeah, they did. They only were like 25 miles up the way, but they acted like they were like hundreds and hundreds of miles away. And but they made, because the Israelites, the law was if a sojourner comes into your town or wherever that, you have to take care of them because you yourself was a sojourner. You guys were both wanderers in the desert. And so, I think they said they heard of their God and wanted to worship their God, and they made a pact with Joshua, and Joshua said, okay, cool. They had old bread. They had old moldy bread with them. They acted like they were starving and dying out there, but they were only like 5 minutes up the way.
Another interesting point is Isaiah 39, and King Hezekiah was one of the rare good kings, right? In Israel, had emissaries, and he showed off these foreign emissaries, his armories and his logistics, his stockpiles. It was a huge strategic blunder, because the emissaries are simultaneously spies. They're going to go back and they're going to tell their king, hey man, this guy has this, and this, so you can use He's heavy with foot soldiers, but light in cavalry. So you can use your cavalry to overcome his foot soldiers, whatever tactical advantages. And God chastised, pick one, Hezekiah for making that strategic blunder.
Wow. Interesting.
We never learn, do we?
No, but here's the point. Christians love to pass the buck. Christians love to say, oh, we wage not against flesh and blood. Okay. We wage war against the spiritual. So I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. And in no way, shape, or form, that's testing the Lord.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
The Lord says to do what is in your power to do, and what is outside of your power, that you leave up to me.
Yeah.
The Lord never says sit on your six.
No, for sure, bro.
And wait for him to act.
100%. I agree with that. That's for sure.
And it's interesting that when he created Gideon's army of a mere 300, the original 300, by the way, the Greeks at Thermopylae were like 1,500, 1,500, 1,700. They were not 300 Greeks. There were several different tribes. That's Jesuit. That's Jesuit mythological foolishness designed to spin and to get warriors into the Greek subclass of homosexuality, to compromise warriors and say, hey, look, the Greeks did it. The Greeks went to war in teams of two lovers. So that is how they compromise the special forces. That's how they compromise the tip of the spear, by the way. So if you read carefully, how does the Lord choose Gideon's army for him? You guys remember the story? So he says,
I'm trying to remember.
Anyone who comes up to drink and drives their face into the water and drinks with abandon, they're out. Anyone who lifts the water to their mouth, they're in. What's the difference?
You're taking all the water, let's say there's only a certain amount of water left for people. If you take your hand and you drink it, then you're not like just totally indulging in it and just taking all the water.
How about a soldier's answer, Josh? Give me a soldier's answer.
That you're basically like what it would be like a sergeant waits for everybody else to eat before you eat. Is that kind of like?
How about situational awareness?
Situational awareness, that you're saying people put their face in the water instead of actually. Because what happened is if you put your face in the water, you're not allowed to see around you. You can't see around you in case there's a battle.
You're lifting the water while you're drinking the water. You're
watching. Yes, amen to that, dude. All right, cool. I get that.
So wait a minute. God didn't pick 300 couch potatoes. God didn't pick 300 video game nerds. God picked the most hardcore warriors who were ready to go.
Yes.
Of that core, that's what he empowered to be undefeated. So it's an important point to make. At no point does God say, sit on your rear end and let it happen. So as far as I'm concerned, God is absolutely behind prepping.
Yes.
God is behind prepping with common sense. And this is how I prep. God has gifted me with a set amount of resources. There's only so far those resources can go. It is my obligation to be as intelligent as possible to divvy up those resources. There are spheres of influence for me as an individual. My immediate sphere of influence is this. As I shrink, as I grow older, 3 feet, 2.5 feet, whatever that is. That's my immediate sphere of influence. I'm responsible for knowing how to control that. My own physical fitness, martial arts, whatever. Then beyond that is the next level of influence. You might consider a firearm, but in today's society, you also have to keep in mind that Satan runs the government. Satan runs the police. They're all corrupt, and you're not going to have a lot of latitude using a firearm. But it's still within your means. It's still within your means, and you're therefore still responsible for it.
It's crazy, Johnny, because that's what I try to explain to people. Like, if you got if somebody has a 50 cal rolling down the street in a Humvee and you sit there with your AR-15, dude, you're going to get demolished. So, or just even bombs, missiles. I mean, it's very tough.
Depends on the situation. It depends on the situation because
it does.
Again, let's think tactically. Okay, so you've got an MRAP with a heavy weapon on top of it. Does it control the area? It's only a base of fire.
Yeah.
What do you need to control the area? You need to disembark the infantry.
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as you disembark the infantry, and as soon as the infantry is away from their base of fire, whatever that weapon is on top of the MRAP, then it's more of a one-on-one.
Yes.
So it all depends on the situation. Now we're talking hot warfare, and if we should ever come to that, that means you have a total breakdown of society. But I'm telling you, with the level of tyranny that we're dealing with right now, anything is possible.
Yes, I agree. It just keeps getting worse and worse. It's definitely, and I know you were going to bring up the mandate that got put down on us. You know, I know we were going to bring that up.
Where are we at? I mean, so who are the most powerful people? The most powerful, visible. They all have people standing behind them. You know, you got Nancy Pelosi, far left Roman Catholic. You've got Joe Biden, far left Roman Catholic. On down the list, these are all key players. And I was going to say, as you go back 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, it's harder to see them, but they're still there. Roger Taney was the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court for Dred Scott, which was right before it precipitated the Civil War. The Vatican used its Roman Catholic Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He's only the 5th Chief Justice, and he's already openly Roman Catholic. The Revolutionary War was completely Roman Catholic run. It was completely. I highly recommend. Outside of my 4 books, going on 5, right after my 4 books, you have to read Rulers of Evil from Frederick Tupper Saucy. My dear friend Hawkeye Clint believes that it was so brilliantly insightful that Saucy is probably an incognito priest, and he's got some interesting evidence for that. But Saucy makes a fantastic point and that's a fantastic case for the revolution being completely controlled by Rome. And where are we in history? Oh my goodness. If you look at the big picture, Illuminati en masse, that's what put me there, is as I was digging deeper, I got out of the military and I was soured over what I'd seen, the treason, obfuscation. And I was there when they pulled off the phony bin Laden raid. My CO was a lieutenant colonel who called me into his office and said, "Hey man, I got to tell you what they're saying about this raid. I know from guys personally on the teams that in no way, shape or form is that real. Is that true?"
When you study into it, if you dig deep into it, it doesn't seem like it would be true anyways, you know, the
very reason for the so-called global war on terror, you shoot them on the spot and dump them in the ocean.
No way.
Meanwhile, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, what do they claim at 800? I forget the ridiculous number. How many times they waterboarded him to get every scrap of information? What a bunch of crap, dude.
You want to get crap. Yeah. If you have him and he's sick, obviously they said he's a kidney dialysis, you know, he's sick. You take him, you bring him in, you know what I mean? That's what you do. Even Saddam Hussein, they said they caught him in a cave, right? They didn't just smoke him. He was in a cave. They could have smoked him easy.
Yeah, spider hole.
They didn't have to kill.
They supposedly pulled out a spider hole.
Come on,
I highly suspect that was a body double that they killed. May have been that for Muammar Gaddafi as well. The problem is you just can't believe anything that the media tells you.
Sure.
So Rome has been in control the entire time, manipulating everything along the way for more and more tyranny. They want a complete feudal system.
Yeah. What brought you down that road? Was it when you got out of the military and you just started looking at who was in control and who was what influenced you to actually start studying this in whole, you know? Because obviously a strong feeling of this, and you have so much knowledge and evidence, and I'm reading through your books, and I could tell that you're just really passionate about this, obviously, to get this out there. What started you into this?
I was born and raised Italian Roman Catholic, and excuse me, I was raised to have right-minded values and to gravitate towards things Christian, although I was not a Christian. I was warm and open to it. Catholics aren't Christians. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to know more about the Bible, but I could never get through it on my own. And so I was gifted by God to have a good friend in college that basically pushed me into giving an evangelical church a try. And I had basically a conversion experience. I just felt like I was home. I never did an altar call. This was January 16th, 1994. And I just felt like I was home. And so things started to fall into place. A lot of things fell into place after I came to Christ. Buried myself in the scriptures. And it was difficult because all of my sources of information were Jesuit controlled, even though they pretended not to be.
Yeah.
And so the proper understanding of prophecy was completely hidden from me. These frauds that preterism, the idea that all prophecy is already fulfilled. Alcazar, Ribera, they're all Jesuits. Futurism, the idea that we have no idea who the Antichrist is. He's going to pop open in the future. He's going to have a 7-year compact with Israel. There's no such thing as Israel. There's no such thing as a prophetic Israel. Israel's dead in 70 AD. But the Jesuits brought it back. The Jesuits resuscitated Israel, because if you focus on Jerusalem, you're not thinking about Rome. Mm-hmm. So all of this foolishness, I got sidetracked. Preterism was created by a Jesuit. Even Wikipedia, even user-edited Wikipedia has to admit this stuff.
Do you think that, because I know there's a lot of people that feel that man is trying to make things become prophecy. So do you feel like when they created Israel as a nation at 1948 or whatever, was that like a planned thing to happen to fulfill that prophecy?
Yeah, it wasn't man trying to fulfill prophecy. It was Satan pushing another distraction. Okay.
That's how you feel.
This goes back for generations. They know the easiest way to distract people from truth is to say anything Jewish, to mention Jew, Israel, anything like that. Mm-hmm. It is instantly divisive. It instantly catches people off guard. You'll have evangelical Christians attempting to do the right thing who go way overboard with too much love towards what they think is Israel. And then you have the other side of the spectrum that goes way overboard with too much hate. And it instantly devolves, and you completely lose sight of who's really running the show. Mm. Futurism, like I said, Jesuit Francis Ribera, pre-tribulation rapture, Manuel de la Cunza, pretending to be a Jew, getting into that right there, right off the bat. As soon as you see a Jesuit pretending to be a Jew, mm-hmm. writing as Rabbi Juan Yehoshaphat ben Ezra, are you kidding me? Right there, okay, right there. So let me try and backtrack. I've got like 3 or 4 different questions of yours I have not answered yet fully.
I'm sorry.
What got me into it? As I realized that we're being lied to, as soon as you understand you've been lied to, you become a conspiracy theorist. That's a joke.
For sure.
It's true. As soon as you realize you've been lied to, you become a conspiracy
theorist. Dang it, I'm the top one conspiracy theorist in the world then, because everyone seems to lie to me.
But Jason, are we not required as Christians not to be trustworthy of our fellow man?
1 million.
Are we not required?
We're not of this world, bro. We're not of this world. So the world is going to be the ones. Anybody of the world that's not of our faith is obviously not. Everybody's lying to us, but that's what it is. It's not of this world, which means we're not required to believe this. We're required to accept the information, study it, make sure 100% is true, because obviously the devil, as we know, is running the show here in the world, but God is obviously running everything. But as far as the world is, worldly people obviously are sinful and are different than Christians. I agree with you, bro.
But Johnny, you said when you were in your Catholic that sort of time in your life, that a guy came to you out of nowhere and just started pushing you towards that. And if you read in the Bible, it even says, if you got the ear and you're spiritual, you will hear me, you will listen, and you'll understand. But if you don't, that's not my problem. I could try to get you to get over here, but if you don't listen, I can't waste my time on you and try to, keep trying to get you to know the truth. The Bible gives you a lot of stuff on things like that's awesome. This is a good points, man. I like this. That's why I'm so quiet right now. I'm like, actually, it's the first time I could actually listen.
We're
Go ahead, Johnny.
Jeremiah 17. What is the human heart? The human heart is deceitful. The human heart is evil.
Yes.
From the very beginning, as long as there are human beings, this is what upsets me and frustrates me in relation to the coronavirus, the pandemic, the scamdemic, taking the vaccine. I have immediate family members who are Christians who blindly listen to the government, who blindly listen to these evil people. I have an immediate family member who went and took the vaccine and got sick and stupidly went and allowed themselves to be tested, and now they're being told they have COVID.
Yeah.
How many times? What's the saying go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yes, there you go.
Wake up. We're supposed to have the mind of a serpent and the actions of a dove, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Not the other way around. We're not supposed to have the mind of a dove to get whacked around by the serpent.
Yes.
So it's deeply, deeply frustrating to me how there are even Christians who are getting railroaded by these evil people. I mean,
we're so on the surface, man. Like, people are so on the surface, especially Christians. Like, what happened to the Christian warriors? Do we have to be in the military or be like my brother reading Joshua and all these? We need to be warriors, and we can't just be on the surface. That's what's happening there. That's what the whole definition of lukewarm is, right? We're believing the world, we're taking whatever the world says, and then we're just slightly reading the Bible. We're on Sundays, we're going to church, we're happy with that. 6 days a week, we're worshiping Satan. 1 day a week, we're worshiping God. I'm not saying that you're going to seances and killing kids. I'm just saying that you're worshiping Satan because you're accepting the news, accepting the worldly stuff all week, not reading your Bible, not getting into your word. And that's on the surface lukewarm Christian to me.
We're living in a time. I think we're living in a time like I think it is a time of Joshua and Judges where everybody just does what they think is right in their own mind. That's not right to do. You let it lead astray. And what Johnny was saying, he said he was in the Catholic faith and learning the values, learning values, and basically I say that they are more moralistic. They're about morals. The Catholics are being moral, but they're the ones that accept sin so much. They accept it like they just brush it off. If Joe Biden was a true Christian, he would not support abortion. I don't care who you are, but he's a Catholic, so he does.
Well, wait a minute, Jason. The Catholic Church is supposedly vehemently pro-life. That's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point because absolutely every single key position held by an open Catholic, they are a far left, pro-abortion, pro-recognition of homosexual marriage by the government. They are far left and they are in good standing with their church.
They're not.
Their church is based on lies. Their church is founded on the blood and tears of children. They are the ones who murder children. They are the ones who secretly promote. What is this? How many? Over 2 billion Catholics? If the Jesuit white Pope wanted to end abortion, he could in an instant. An instant. That's not what they want. They want the blood of innocents to continue to flow because their master is Satan.
Yes. And
And
they
it's- Go ahead.
they also I think the most recent pope was saying that AI is a gift from God. Also that
Francis was saying the vaccine is a gift from God. It is your duty, it's your duty as a Christian.
They still mix state and church together.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this on that. My beloved Adventist friends and fans get this wrong. There is no such thing as separation of church and state. Colossians 1, Jesus Christ, everything was made for him and through him. Jesus Christ must be king, and if you don't allow him to be king, this is what you have. The myth of the secular state comes from Rome and from Satan, because if you're out there believing you can separate Jesus Christ from everything else that you do, then Satan will gladly step in. You have to get your ethics and your morality from somewhere.
Yeah.
You either get it from Satan or you get it from Christ. You can
That's
pretend that there is no such thing, but ethics and morality, those are that is something that has to have a source. And so, supposedly the United States for over 200 years has been the secular state, right? Separation of church and state. First of all, those words are not even in the Constitution. It's a fabrication of the Vatican Supreme Court. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek. The Supreme Court is run by the Vatican. We have what are we? 6 Catholics and a 3 far left Jews as tokens. Completely run by the Vatican. Everything you need to know. The Corona hoax, Anthony Fauci, Robert, what's his name? Redfern over the CDC, all the way down the line. The Vatican is running the show. And this is what aggravates me over the frauds and so-called alternative media. It's right in front of them, and they purposefully give it cover. So real quick,
you're talking about Matthew 6:24. Sorry, guys. He had the no one could serve 2 masters. Either you will hate the one or love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money, or God and manna. Okay, guys, go ahead. Sorry.
There's no such. It's not a point where you want the power of state to force everyone else to be a particular religion or faith. That's not the point. The point is that there's no such thing as separating ethics, morality, and government. It's impossible. You will either have it or you won't. You have to have a source for it. And so Rome has exploited this. Can I tell you the number of collared priests who have actually held government positions? We're talking about Tupper Saucy. Frederick Tupper Saucy, in his book, explains how the prosecutor, the federal prosecutor, was a collared Jesuit. Jeffrey Dahmer, his defense attorney was a Roman Catholic who was trained in law at Jesuit Marquette, and his prosecutor was a Jesuit priest. Marquette,
think about that.
Marquette University.
Think about that, guys. Think about what he just said. A defense attorney for Jeffrey Dahmer.
Separation of church and state.
Supposedly Christian or Catholic, Roman Catholic, but still, it's supposed to be Christian, guys. Think about that. How can you be that? Well, how could you be a defense attorney?
That then, not church and state. How about the world? The worldly things mixing with
absolutely. We desperately need separation from Satan and state.
There we go.
Yes,
we desperately need separation of Satan and state. And so, by the way, let me hit Romans 13 real quick, because I'm very passionate.
And Johnny,
about
I don't mean to interrupt you either, bro. I just want to get these little Bible verses in. I didn't get to get the Bible verses in the beginning, so I keep on trying to get those. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, not at all. So Romans 13 is thrown back at us very frequently as an excuse not to stand against evil doing. And so let me go through this verse by verse. This is Paul being brilliant. This is Paul finding a way to give a Jesus-like answer when there's no right answer. You've got the most evil beast ever in existence ruling the world at the time, military Rome ruling the world. Mm-hmm. So if Paul stands up and says, resist authority, that's it for Christianity. That's it for Christianity. And what is Paul's mission? Paul's mission isn't justice. It's not righteousness. It's spreading
Yes.
the gospel, it's saving souls.
The gospel, yeah.
So even though he in no way says, okay, unrighteousness is okay, he's got to accomplish his first most critical mission.
Spread
This
the gospel.
is so listen to this, what he says. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God, and those who resist will bring judgment onto themselves. For rulers, this is so key, verse 3, rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Are our rulers doing that today? Are our rulers a terror to evil who protect good workers? The absolute inverse. And honestly, this has really never been the case. What Paul is talking about is conditional, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Everyone else take this the way you want to. As far as I'm concerned, the rulers are not protecting the good and punishing the evil. They've not been doing that here.
No.
It's just
Definitely
the opposite.
not. Yes, it is.
If they are not protecting the good, go ahead.
They're literally, okay, guys, let's just put this on a lower level. They're taking people that are in prison out of prison, letting them go free, taking people that are child molesters, letting them be on probation, people that, I mean, you know, people are committing crimes here, and they're just taking them out of jail because they don't want them to catch this flu. All right, guys.
You get a kid that's caught smoking marijuana. You put him in an institution long enough to destroy him and turn him into a lifetime criminal. You get a mass murdering rapist. You make sure that they're back out on the street as soon as possible. There is no justice.
No.
The very concept of so-called law is twisted, perverse, satanic, and Jesuitical. The concept that if you have evidence of someone committing a crime, committing wrongdoing, but you have accumulated that evidence in a way that is unlawful or unlawful, suddenly that evidence doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What kind of Jesuit stupidity is that? The evidence still exists.
Yeah.
What you have is two different crimes. You've got a rapist who, let's say a police officer or detective found evidence but didn't properly obey their rights. So he found the evidence. The evidence still exists. Now you have a new crime committed by the police officer or the detective.
Yeah.
You don't ignore the evidence. You look at two different crimes. Now the police officer needs to go on trial for breaking the rights of but that has nothing to do. The evidence still stands. Yeah. Only in some sort of twisted satanic Jesuit court do you pretend the evidence doesn't exist anymore. Especially if they're doing child pornography or they're killing with kids. And we've got this judge in New Jersey that supposedly the brave men and women the FBI were closing in on. Look, the FBI runs systemic pedophilia. The FBI, the CIA, they run systemic pedophilia. So obviously we're not being told. My guess on this judge in New Jersey is that he was completely unnecessary. There was not a position of importance whatsoever. And he was the throwaway. He was the token that all of a sudden we can pretend that the brave men and women of the FBI, founded by devout Roman Catholic, grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, Charles Joseph Bonaparte.
Wasn't it I can't remember what they were called, like the followers or something like that. Something the CIA was running, dude, where they it was back in like in the 80s. I can't remember what the name of them right now is. I had a whole thing pulled up on them too.
The CIA was the Catholic Intelligence Agency, also founded by a devout Roman Catholic, the name of DuPont Wall Street lawyer, Knight of Malta, William Donovan. This is one of the reasons why I was forced out of the military, why I had to get out of the military, because the enemy they're not jihadis. They're not Russia. They're not, the enemy is our own institutions. Always has been. America's greatest enemies are running her institutions. And all of those institutions were either founded by or are run by Roman Catholics, Jesuit trained. They will occasionally allow token Jews for people to focus on and hate to be put in positions. But the real power goes to Catholics. Goes back to the beginning. How did I get to where I am? Why am I here? I was asking questions and looking for answers, and I found answers. And 10, 15 years ago, 7 years ago, in between there, between 15 and 7 years ago, everyone was saying Illuminati this, Illuminati that. They still, to some degree.
Yeah.
Same thing as Illuminati is a buzzword. Illuminati is a meaningless buzzword. Same thing with Satanist. Same thing with globalist. Same thing as deep state. These are words that are handed to us to obfuscate the real enemies.
Broad. That's like a broad word. When you say Illuminati, and I mean, for what we've studied, Illuminati is a whole pyramid of different entities that you have to study before you could even find out. Now, Adam Weishaupt, I know that like he was Jesuit. That would be like the start of the actual Illuminati. But the way that they use it now, Illuminati, or they use deep state, that has so many different entities involved in it that you have to study and break down. You can't just say the Illuminati. That doesn't mean, it's not like there's like so many different, like you said, you believe that we believe that Rome would be like what, at the top? Satan would be at the very top, but you think that Rome is at the top and then it just trickles down from there, right? That's how you feel.
Think about it this way, Sergeant. Think about it this way. If you're on the battlefield, you need to conquer your enemy. You need to know who they are.
Yes.
If you don't know who they are, you're not going to be able to put them down.
Yes.
You have got to cut off the head of the Hydra that won't grow back.
Yes.
You focus on the Freemasons. You're focused on so-called the Jews. You focus on even institutions as evil as the CIA. You can stop them if you have the power. And guess what? It still is there. You still have the nervous system. You still have the confessional. You still have the priests. You still have the nuns. You still have the skeleton that will grow back. You're not attacking the source. And that's where all this comes from. The so-called Illuminati, Johann Adam Weishaupt, Jesuit priest.
Just a reinventation of the Jesuits, basically. They went out in 1773, 1776, the Illuminati came, right? So it was just it
was a way for the Jesuits to manipulate while they were supposedly suppressed and didn't exist. So you had
to take a while for them to catch on to the Illuminati, right? So it's like, okay, man. So let's,
This is why you guys are so good and why you guys are not being allowed the coverage that you deserve, is because no one else is telling the truth like this. When the Jesuits were brought back on August 7th in 1814, by the way, the anniversary of the death of Carrie Mullis, the founder of the polymerase chain reaction, who died in 2019 on August 7th, the anniversary of the resurrection of the Jesuits. What a coincidence that is. As important, as key, as critical a figure as Carrie Mullis is, who's saying that? Nobody's saying that. Who's saying that Anthony Fauci, Jesuit trained, twice Jesuit trained, his wife was 3 times Jesuit trained, devout Italian Roman Catholic, who was behind AIDS, the AIDS farce, who's running the show for the coronavirus? No one's saying the word Jesuit. This is what brought me to the show. This is what made me focus on what I do and why I spent so much effort on it to answer. Now we're at the end of the show. For me to finally answer your question, Jason. Josh, for me to finally answer your questions, both of you. What brought me here is the answers I came up with that I found on my own. No one else was saying. How can you say Illuminati and not say Weishaupt and Jesuit?
Right.
Say seriously. Illuminati. Maybe some people will say Weishaupt. Nobody says Jesuit. For instance, you've got the European Union and the Bilderbergs. How do you say European Union and the Bilderbergs and not say Jesuit Joseph Redinger?
Yeah,
who was the godfather of the European Union, the godfather of the Bilderberg Group? How do you say that? Trilateral Commission. How do you say Trilateral Commission? Trilateral Commission or Al Qaeda? We look back and say, well, wait a minute. The United States created its own enemies. The United States created jihad. Yes, it did. Well, wait a minute. And that's not quite totally true. It's not the United States. It was devout Roman Catholic, Democrat, leftist Democrat, Zbigniew Brzezinski. War hawk. Why was he a war hawk? Because he was a Pole with a vicious, vehement hatred against Russia.
Yeah.
So
they're Orthodox Christians, because they're Orthodox Christians in Russia, and I don't know. That's
home right.
Yeah. So
to subjugate and crush their sister church of Orthodoxy. Go ahead.
So you're talking about Operation Cyclone right now, right? Where we armed Afghanistan. Is that what you were speaking of right now, or the jihadists, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Zbigniew Brzezinski, devout Roman Catholic, friend of Karol Joseph Wojtyla, who everybody knows now as Pope St. John Paul II.
Aye.
How it is that you can talk about Al Qaeda or Trilateral Commission and never say the name Zbigniew Brzezinski. And here's the fascinating part: is you have these key Catholic families in control, and they cross over. You talk about Brzezinski, and Brzezinski has a son, I think Ian is his name, who's also in politics. He's got a daughter, Mika, who is a host at MSNBC.
Oh, here we go.
You've got the exact same Roman Catholic far left cabal by example in New York with the Cuomo family. You've got generational Cuomo far left Catholic communist criminals. Absolute, no exaggeration, murdering, raping criminals.
Yeah.
Both Andrew Cuomo and his wife, his ex-wife, a Kennedy, married Carrie Kennedy, on Epstein's Black Book. His little brother, Fredo Cuomo, that we might know better by his name, Chris.
Fredo.
Look that up. Look up Chris Cuomo responds to being called Fredo. It's hilarious. Somebody called him at a party, Fredo Cuomo, and he got absolutely furious. Fredo Cuomo's wife is also in Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book.
Jeez.
So you've got generational Cuomos destroying the People's Republic of New York. And then you've got little Fredo Cuomo as a anchor on CNN and controlling
New York
politics and propaganda. Go ahead.
And let's look at New York, okay, guys. So this is something that I listened to from remember I brought up Jordan Maxwell. So he was saying that like the Empire State Building would be like the Roman Empire. So like New York, and also I remember I asked you about Britain. Remember, I was like, oh man, because I was at the time I was thinking of that they were in control, but I guess Caesar took over Britannia, right? And then from then on, I believe that would be the point where Rome has been, over Britain. I that's just what I've been studying, because I've been trying to answer that question myself, because you answered it really well on the show, and I started digging, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that's when that happened, and then England is obviously still in control of America. So Rome is in control of England and America at this time. And then like the Senate, I guess they go up on Capitol Hill. It's the same thing that that Caesar used to do. He used to go up on Capitol State Hill, I guess it was called. And then Rome used to have the Senate. We have the same exact thing going on today. So there's a lot of stuff.
Look at our all of our.
It's interesting.
Our buildings out there in Washington. They're all fasci, all this stuff, all Roman. Everything in the background is Roman. All the stuff on our money has Roman signs on it, Roman symbols. People don't understand is that yes, they do. Like they say, the West is a cross. They say like yes, but there is an iron cross. Ours is the cross of Calvary. There's difference. That's what people don't get. Like when they start to, they're like, oh man, Catholics are this. They we hold tradition above the word. We do all that stuff, and then they infiltrate our country and our churches. They infiltrate our political views. They infiltrate our schools, everything. So you're brought up to believe. This is what's funny to me. If you are a Catholic Christian, you say, how do you believe in evolution? How do you come up with these things that
Big Bang?
Yeah.
Big Bang,
that go against
evolution
that God said.
They don't filter. Then what they do is they filter the Bible through science, and then they just say, all right, anything that doesn't match what science says in the Bible, I'll kick out. But everything that does match science, then I'll keep. But you're not supposed to do that. You should be filtering science through the Bible anything the Bible says, that should be our foundation. Science should not be our foundation, in my personal opinion.
It is. No, but it absolutely is. Real science
Real,
is our
though.
foundation. Not scientism, not phony science, not fake
Yeah.
science,
Theories,
not
not theories.
pseudoscience.
No
Real
theories.
science.
Yeah.
The Big Bang is a myth created by a Roman Catholic priest, Georges
Yes.
Lemaitre.
Yes, sir.
A Roman. Why is it that supposedly Rome was protecting the Bible against science, and in reality, it's the complete inverse?
Yes. The seven
Galileo
sacred sciences. The seven sacred sciences is what the Jesuits actually are originally were studying.
Copernicus
Yeah.
was another one.
Galileo
Yeah.
Galilei was by invitation teaching at the Collegio Romano, the premier Jesuit university. Galileo Galilei supposedly persecuted by the Inquisition. Persecuted. How was he persecuted? He's put on house arrest. Meanwhile, the Inquisition, if the Inquisition really wants you, they will skin you alive. They will pull your intestines out. They will rip your arms out of their sockets, put them back in, and rip them out again. None of that is exaggeration.
Yeah.
If the Inquisition wants you, they will make you feel pain you have never felt before. Galileo Galilei, whose own daughter was a Roman Catholic nun, whom they were so close. Galileo Galilei was as close to his daughter as Donald Trump is as close to his daughter.
Oh, okay. That's really close.
Buried in the same grave. Buried in the same. Galileo Galilei and his daughter are buried together.
Wow.
I wonder if there was
Guys,
something going on there.
Listen to this and study this, okay? Because this is stuff you'll never ever learn unless you do. I mean, guys, I'm gonna tell you, one of Johnny Cirucci's books he sent me is 800 pages long. That's just one of them. So this gentleman is not here to play around, dude. And I wish I can give him 3 hours to speak. We're gonna have him on again, obviously, because this is just an ongoing relationship. But everything he's saying, it's not like he's just saying it off of opinion or whatever, dude. He's already researched it, and he's ready. He's got some stuff ready, like in the chamber every time we ask him a question, guys.
So why is it? So it's not real science. Viruses are not real science.
Yeah.
When you
Germ
read
theory.
about
Look into that.
you read about how it is that they supposedly isolated a virus, what are the tests? They don't even use an antibody. You know what an antibody test is? An antibody test examines antibodies in a sample, and that's not looking for the actual virus itself.
Yeah.
It's not real science. The scientific method is real science. What we're told today is science is not science. It's pseudoscience. And let me tell you, there are Christians out there defining scientism as too much science. That's incorrect. Scientism is pseudoscience. It is a religion of pseudoscience.
Yes.
You are demanded to shut off your brain and automatically believe anyone in a white lab coat as they lie to you and give you false science.
Yeah.
Real science is based on the scientific method. You have an observation. You make a hypothesis based on the observation. I'm looking at a ship and the ship is disappearing over the horizon. Therefore, the earth is round. Okay, that's my observation. Let me conduct an experiment.
Let's take a
validate-
camera and
go
ahead.
Let me conduct an experiment to validate that observation. If I can replicate what I have seen, then the chances are good that my hypothesis is accurate. Now, here's the problem. In the experiment, you have to isolate the variables. What are one of the variables in relation to you as the subject watching a ship roll over the horizon?
Well, the
scale.
The waves, the scale, that's going to keep going up and down.
Isolate the variables. So if you take that variable out and you add magnification to the person, what happens? The ship suddenly reappears, and surprise, surprise, your hypothesis is proved wrong.
Yes.
Okay. That is real science. You make your own observation.
Yeah.
You see the north. Go ahead.
But it takes all that intelligent thinking and observation and steps to actually look into. for you to actually find out that it's incorrect what they're saying. But what happens
right.
is people just take people's word for it.
Josh, you have to be your own scientist. Josh,
Amen.
you have to be your own priest. You have to be your own doctor. In no way, shape, or form does the good Christian turn their brain, their body, and their soul over to somebody else who is evil and doesn't deserve it.
Amen to that, bro. I agree.
The best way, first of all, being a Christian is a relationship.
Yes.
It is something you do every day. That is why John uses the imagery of a marriage.
Yes.
Christians who think that they're checking the things, it's okay to check the box, to go for an hour on Sunday morning and surrender their soul and their brain to someone who was trained by a Jesuit and didn't even realize it. And then punch the time card, turn around and go home and go back to living their lives the rest of the week and completely forget about Christ.
Yeah.
They're not a Christian. They're not a Christian. That's why I say there's no such thing as separation of church and state. That's why I say that religion is of Satan. All religion is of Satan. Do you know the idea of having a mini pilgrimage, of going to a sacred cathedral every weekend? That's satanic. That's pagan. Nothing to do with being Christian.
If you have the right relationship with God, you are not going to be fearing the stuff that they can, fear porn you with on the news. If you have the right relationship with God, you're not going to go in after, you're going to pray to God. You're going to be able to self-science it and find out if you're sick. I'm not saying if your arm gets cut off by a chainsaw that you don't need to go to the doctor.
Pause right there, brother. Pause right there. Home run. Let me highlight and underline what you just said.
Common sense.
If your body is telling you you're fine, why would you submit yourself to an expert who's going to test you and tell you you're sick when you don't feel sick?
Yeah.
100%. Hello, McFly.
This has never happened in history. Okay, guys, just letting you guys know. In history, it's never happened where there
are people who are being sick. They are being poisoned, but they're being poisoned not with a virus. They are being poisoned. Real quick, let's talk about cancer as an example of healing and sickness and what it means to be sick. I'm doing this on my book right now. As soon as we finish, we're going to hit back to it. What is cancer? Cancer is the ultimate expression of a body that has been poisoned. What do doctors do to cancer? Doctors
poison you more.
Treat it.
Poison you more.
Manage cancer by poisoning you further.
Yes.
Poison, cut, and burn. Those are the tactics of doctors in relation to cancer. They never, ever, ever address the root of the cancer, which is most often a lifetime of bad habits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most often a lifetime of being blasted by Wi-Fi and cell phones, and electricity itself is toxic. Eating fast
down
food.
to what you're actually washing yourself with. The soaps are toxic.
What you wear.
Carcinogens.
There are toxins
what you wear.
in your clothing.
The Tide.
Toxins in your fry pans.
Yeah, processed
water,
food.
just in your water alone.
Roman Catholic Mark Ruffalo, I guess he was all full of vim and vigor as a result of doing his movie in Spotlight and representing my friend's
Incredible Hulk.
Ed Resendez and Dark Waters is a movie I highly recommend, even though it is total Catholic propaganda. The hero is a Catholic. And he fights a big chemical conglomerate. But the bottom line is it tells the story of DuPont poisoning people with Teflon. And it's absolutely true. It's just one tiny story of thousands of stories. What is really going on? The environment is poisoned. Absolutely, the environment is being poisoned. Is the environment being poisoned by you and me? No, it's being poisoned by big business and billionaires. Who has to suffer? We have to suffer. We have to give up our SUV. We have to stop using electricity. We're not the ones doing it. They are.
I think you were talking about cancer. Imagine this. If you put an organic with chlorine, it creates TTHMs, right? Which is total trihalomethanes, right? So when you take chlorinated water and you put it into coffee, what happens? It actually creates a carcinogen. which is crazy, dude. Because we work in the water industry. Me and my brother both do. I'm a water treatment operator for for the city of Rialto. So I'm not going to mention the name of the place we're contracted through because I'm not allowed to do that. But anyways, so think about it. Teflon is used whenever you fix the pump on a chlorine thing. So that's going to be used for sure. Teflon is obviously used throughout plumbing and throughout all this.
What about your pipes, dude? Your copper pipes have lead.
Yeah.
After a while, they give you lead.
Some of them used to be lead, dude. They used to be lead, asbestos. I mean, all these different things, dude, that are like you're saying. But anyways, Johnny, we're sorry. We're just going on a rant here.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I just look, the bottom line is it's a fraud. These people are evil, and anyone that properly addresses health. What is health? Health is very, very, very simple. Health means taking in what your body needs and keeping out what makes your body, what is toxic to you. That is what the inverse of what we have today. We have today is a lifetime of bad habits that we're unaware of taking in things that are not good for you and not bringing in enough of what is good for you.
Yes.
So-called doctors will never address that. So-called doctors are what doctors, doctor comes from the Latin docere, which means to instruct, has nothing to do with healing. Doctors are not healers. That's why they make 6 and 7 digit figures. That's why they have to invest tens of thousands of dollars to get in their special club. And that's why they're all in lockstep with the Corona hoax, because they're all corrupt.
Yeah. They're all stuck. They're all stuck in the same, they're all in the same ball game. I agree with that.
Same thing with scientists. They go down the satanic road of torturing animals. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with torturing human beings.
What do they do?
Corruption.
We could just talk about this. Let's just do this on a minor scale, like I like to bring it down to. A doctor takes you into a room, or a nurse does, and what do? They check your blood pressure, they check your weight, and they check your temperature. That's 3 things they do, no matter what, whether you're sick or not. If you're going to myself. Hold on. You do that.
You should do
every single time they do that, they're checking off their insurance company, chikum, 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 as if like a cash register. So that's like $80 to $100 each thing they do. That's $300 to your insurance before you even say hello to the doctor. Okay, guys, this is literally what's happening. I sold a boat to a doctor like 6 years ago, and he sat there and talked to me about every single thing that they charge. When even for them to even speak to you already, that they're charging the insurance company. So like he said, it is a money making scheme, every single thing, dude, that they do for you, anything they do for you. Go get your head fixed at a hospital with no insurance. What you going to do? You're going to get charged $25,000. $25,000.
Thousands of dollars. Your body is screaming at you that you've been poisoned. Your body is now creating cells at a chaotic rate. That's what cancer is. Uncontrolled chaos of cellular growth. It threatens your health.
Yeah.
Will a doctor get into the root cause? What do you need? No, a doctor wants to cut, poison, or burn the cellular growth. And guess what? As he's cutting, poisoning, and burning the cancer, he's also cutting, poisoning, and burning the rest of your body.
Yeah.
This is not precision. That's why many chemotherapies will actually cause a new cancer.
Yeah.
How do you get away with that? How does a doctor get away with that?
That's
Do you know that the success rate is over 97% of people who die from cancer? Once you were diagnosed from cancer and you put yourself in the hands of a doctor, you have a 97% chance of being killed by that doctor and that cancer. 97%. If you put yourself in the hands of doctor. That's why they manage cancer. They want the cancer to kill you. And by the way, they're going to jump in.
That's with Rockefeller, bro. That's all Rockefeller when he took the medical journal and everything, and he just said, we're going to make it our way. And they just wanted to keep making money. If you go back, you had the petroleum back in the day. That's what they put in the medicine. I mean, you guys got to look it up and understand. But we're at 9:05 right now. We have to end the podcast because I got two screaming babies upstairs, and my wife's probably pulling her hair out. Johnny, like always, bro, we're going to have a part 3. Okay, guys, we love Johnny Cirucci, man. Everybody support him. He has a podcast. Please spit out your podcast.
For the most part, it's the 4 books: Illuminati Unmasked, Secret History, Eaters of Children, and Romans of Mass Destruction. You can get on Amazon. Right now, I'm just doing a little bit at a time because I'm trying to write this 5th book about health and viruses and Rome and Satan. So I'm not really doing Resistance Rising, the podcast, but you can find me on Odyssey whatever my audio and video stuff comes out. But JohnnyCirucci.com is the website.
Okay, so check him out, guys, please, and support him. If you guys can, please check him out and check his books out. I've already started on one of his books, Illuminati Unmasked, and I'm like 6 or 7 pages in, and I'm already hooked. So guys, check him out, please. Okay. And we just want to end this in prayer. I want to say thank you to Jason. My brother's always sticking around, man, as a co-host, and he's doing an awesome job. I want to thank Johnny Cirucci. And I also want to thank you guys for listening and tuning in. If you guys could please share this, okay, guys, as much as you guys can. We are being shadow banned like crazy. I could tell 100%. Okay, guys. I mean, some of these videos that we put out, I mean, I'm not saying that we're the coolest podcast in the world, but we're I think we're coming out with some fire. So please help us to share, because that's the only way we're going to be put out, guys. All right. Our Apple, Spotify is going amazing, but our YouTube is getting just shadow banned. But anyways, we love you. Let's end this in prayer. Father God, in the name of Jesus, thank you for this clear connection. We really appreciate everything you do for us. We just want to pray for Johnny and his family, keep him safe. We want to pray for the whole entire world right now. There's tyranny going on. They're trying to mandate stuff on us that we definitely don't want to put poison in our body. We don't want to do anything like that, Lord. So please help us fight against this tyranny, Lord. You want us to stand on our own feet, and we trust you for the stuff that we can't handle. So please handle that for us. But we are going to be Christian warriors, and we're going to fight for you, Lord. And we appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Johnny.
There's one person, Josh, there's one person who's bigger than Joe Biden, and that's Jesus Christ.
Amen to that.
So,
all right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you, Johnny. Thank you.